So for my summer reading project, I chose to do the book talk, and I read Beastly, and the author of that is Alex Flynn. So getting into the actual book, the two main characters are Kyle Kingsbury and Linda. They are very different from each other. Kyle is rich and Linda is quite poor. It mentions in the book that Kyle lives in a big apartment in Manhattan and he goes to a really expensive school named Tuttle. You have to get a scholarship to go there, but since his dad is a newscaster, he pretty much bribes the people so Kyle can get into the school. And those are just some of the reasons that prove Kyle is a rich person. So getting on with Linda, she lives in a really bad neighborhood and she lives in a beat up house and she's really poor. And in the book, I have it right here, it states, "Instead, the mirror painted a neighborhood I'd never seen before and wouldn't want to see." So Kyle's looking in a magic mirror and he sees that it's really bad and he just doesn't want to see it. So this is proving that Linda is poor and she doesn't have enough money to live in one of a bigger house or apartment like Kyle does. So clearly my sites have shown that Kyle and Linda are very different people. Kyle is rich, his dad is a newscaster, and Linda's poor and her dad is just pretty much a lowlife. Okay, so the conflict in this book. Kyle's main conflict is that he's mean, insensitive, and he picks on people all the time. A girl, aka the witch, her name is Kendra, she sees this in him and she turns him into a beast so he can learn his lesson. She watches him and knows that at school he calls people unbalanced freaks, that's stated on page 13, and sometimes he just straight up ignores that. So when I was filming before, my phone died, so I'm back now. But okay. So another thing Kyle does is that he was calling his housemate stupid because on the night of his dance, he told her to get an orchid and she brought him back a white rose and he thought it was cheap and it was ugly. So he's just mean to everyone. So that's pretty much the main conflict in this book, is that Kyle needs to learn his lesson on the fact that he's really mean to everyone and he just needs to stop doing that. Okay, so the next thing is a climactic or exciting thing in the book, and that would be when Linda kisses Kyle and he turns back into his old self. The cite from the book is right here. It says, "I grabbed her arm back," and then he says, "Then kiss me. Let me have the memory of your kiss, even if I die." It was too late, but she leaned forward anyway and kissed me, my eyes, my cheeks, and finally on my lipless mouth. So this is at the end of the book when he kisses Linda because he goes to save her when she was kidnapped by some random person walking around the streets. So I think this is a very exciting moment, not only for him but for Linda, because she has been wanting to do this, and I know he's been wanting to do it throughout this entire book because he just wanted to look like his old self. But I know he has learned his lesson and he knows that he should not pick on anyone. So as you can see, I had to move again because my dog was interrupting me. So I'm on the pages that I have to read, and yeah, I chose part 6 like in the beginning of it because this is pretty much after he gets kissed and he turns back into his old self, which is going along with the exciting part. So I thought it would be good to just read this. This is just a good part of the book that I thought I would read. So, a minute later, when he stepped from the building, we saw the police cars surrounding the place. A crowd of people and news reporters from every station, including my dad's, were there. And there was the guy, the low-life pusher, who'd been holding Lindy. He was talking to them. "It's him," he shouted when he saw us. "The beast that attacked me." A buzz came from the crowd as they saw me, then saw I was no beast. "That's the beast," exclaimed the reporter from my dad's station. "He was different before. He had fangs and claws and hair all over him." The reporter turned to Lindy, obviously hoping to salvage her story. "Miss, did you see a beast?" "Of course not." Lindy looked up at me. He touched my hair. I never saw a beast, but that man," she turned to the pusher, "he attacked me. He might have killed me, but this guy burst in and saved me." "I told you," the pusher yelled. "He's the beast. It's magic that changed him." "Magic?" Lindy's laugh was a little forced and a little fake. The crowd laughed too. Magic and beasts only exist in fairy tales, or maybe drug-induced hallucinations. But heroes and villains are real. Now, the mic was in my face. "Did you see a beast?" "No, I didn't see a beast." I took the mic from the reporter, authoritative, like my dad would have done. "But if there's a beast, maybe he's just a regular guy with a skin condition or something. Maybe he just needs some understanding. Maybe we judge people too much by their looks because it's easier than seeing what's really important." The reporter snatched the microphone back. "Well, that was sappy." She turned away from me and spoke to the camera. "No leads in the mysterious case of a beast-like individual who terrorized subway passengers in Brooklyn tonight." The crowd began to disperse. An officer grabbed the pusher. "Not so fast, buddy. I ran your ID. It seems you got a warrant outstanding." "And we found that gun she was talking about?" He turned to Lindy and me. "Would you mind coming down to the station to give a statement about what happened?" "Not at all, officer," I said, thinking of how much that would piss off my father, not to mention how freaked he must have been by the whole beast in the subway story, especially when he saw coverage on his own station. He was probably sitting in my living room already. "I'll go anywhere," Lindy said, "as long as he goes with me." The officer rolled his eyes. "Kids in love. Crazy." He might have muttered something more, but I didn't hear him. We were too busy kissing. So that's the end of that chapter, and I think that was a really good part in the book because this is just what happened after he turned back to his old self, and they pretty much live happily ever after, like in fairy tales. So they kiss, and the guy that was trying to kidnap her goes to jail and goes with the police. So everything turns out pretty good at the end, and that's really what I like about this book. Okay, so I definitely give this book a thumbs up. My first reason would have to be it keeps you on your toes. This book is really exciting, and it's not a boring book like some books can be. And I definitely give it like a 9 out of 10 because it keeps you into it and it makes you want to keep reading. What I like it is that it can relate to like real world bullying, except for the witch part. But even in the real world, if you do something wrong, you have to learn your lesson from it, and that's pretty much what happened in this book. Kyle was a mean person, and he learned how to not be, and Lindy helped him throughout this whole process. So it really can relate to the real world. That's pretty much it for my book talk. Overall, this book was a really good book. I definitely recommend it to other people if they're looking for something that's going to be interesting and keep them on their feet. So, yep, that's it.